porch blues.
What did you think of that?
I had fun with that. I could just imagine like a hot, humid summer day and a cold beer and out on the porch. Yeah, I loved it.
Now, I know you come from Virginia. Is it
Yes, I
West
do.
Virginia or Virginia?
Virginia. Well,
Okay.
near the West Virginia border, but
Yeah,
Virginia.
that's right. Now, did you, when you were growing up, know anybody that could play the spoon? Oh, my eyebrows are weird.
Play the spoons? No, I can't say that I did. Did you?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard
Grew
of
up in
people
Oregon.
playing the saw and playing the spoons, and
Oh, you saw that too? Did you see that growing up?
well, not growing up, but I mean, I've heard of it. I've seen it. Like on TV and stuff. But like tissue paper and a comb, a saw, spoons. You can all do all kinds of creative things. Anything can be a
And
musical
also
instrument.
bucket with spoons.
Oh
Take
yeah,
some
yeah.
spoons or sticks and but what I love about it is that the poor could make music from anything.
Yes, yes.
A spoon could become a musical instrument. A saw could become a musical instrument.
Mm-hmm.
People would also would whittle and make their own flutes.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I have seen those. There, back where I'm from in my little town, there were people who were very creative with whittling. I think I might have seen a handmade flute.
I just think it's so cool. And then they have the turtle flutes. Some of them can be made
Yeah.
with ceramics and some of them can be made with wood.
Oh, I just love that. I just love drawing upon your natural innate creativity and the fact that it doesn't have to cost money.
I was thinking, I've seen people make violins from scratch.
Really?
That there's a method to making us like a Stradivarius.
Whoa, there's a project for you, Whimsy.
Well, I was thinking, like, if I ever took a wood carving class, I would make, and I was paying for that class.
Oh,
I would find out the design for a violin. I would invest in some really good wood. I would probably do a prototype with a crappy wood like a pine.
Yeah.
And then once I had perfected it, I would move on to using something like a cherry wood, a more expensive wood.
I love how organic it is. And I know how much you cherish playing your violin as
I do. Yeah.
Practicing it, but the idea of you literally handcrafting your own violin and playing it, that's beautiful. That's very touching. I'm sure you've seen that picture of Jimmy Carter holding the guitar that he made.
He made a guitar.
He made a guitar from a tree that he planted. He planted the tree, raised it up, and then used the tree for wood to make the guitar. There's a photo. I'm sure you can find it on the internet. It's just beautifully crafted. He was a very gifted craftsman.
Well, this brings us to our first discussion, which has to do with just how bad is the economy going to be. We're talking about the first 100 days of the Trump presidency.
Mm-hmm.
Before he got elected, I went ahead and I invested in one of these puppies. This actually cost me about $500.
What is that? I'm trying to see it on the small
This is
screen.
my pantry, and this goes back to kind of what I wanted to talk about today, which is, do Americans even know how to cook? Do Americans know how to cook from scratch? If you had some steel cut oats or a pound of barley or a pound of pinto beans or any of these other things,
Mm-hmm.
which were found in a Victorian household, would you know what to do with these condiments? Would you know what to do with a bunch of beans and rice? I guess that's the conversation, because people are frightened. Oh my God, are we looking at years and years of inflation? Mm-hmm. Should we, be leaving the country? Should we be planning for a rainy day? What I did was I thought, well, it's probably a good idea. It put me on a spiritual journey about this idea of the fact that our food is too instant. Like, we go and we pick up things. You and I do this for a living. You're a physician's assistant, and we talk about nutrition all the time. Like, are you willing to make a loaf of bread from scratch? We think of ourselves as healthy because we'll pick up something we'll pick up some healthy bread that's pre-made.
Yeah.
But prior to the Industrial Revolution, this was what your pantry looked like.
Oh, yeah. Well, I still remember that time when you were still here in LA and I was helping you, put your herbs. You were buying them in bulk and we were putting them in jars, and I was helping make the labels and we were categorizing them. I love that.
It's the one thing that's hard about you not being here, is that
Yeah.
I need you in my office. Like, I need you because
Mm,
we now have expanded to over 200 herbs. And just,
wow.
it's so time consuming.
I know
I
how
have to
time consuming it is.
organize and refill the
Oh, yes.
herbs and all of that other stuff.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't have you there helping
I
me out.
remember it. And I remember also because the jars had to be in alphabetical order, I would find an herb that I had missed and it was like, ah, now I've got to move all these jars to fit this in. And that was a constant thing, but that's just part of the process. But it was just like what we were saying about making Jimmy Carter making his guitar from a tree he grew. There was just something beautiful and basic, organic
Yes,
to
and
it.
I'm going to go ahead and predict. I don't know if I have my notes. My notes are right over there,
Mhm.
but I'm going to go ahead and predict. Hopefully, as people find the stream, take a seat. Maybe you want to join the taco truck with us. This is my dear compadre Chuck. We get together, we do tacos and tequila or whatever you like. Right
We
now,
got to do that for real sometime.
we had drinks one
Oh, I
when
meant
we were
on a
together.
more regular basis in our home.
Yes, well,
Let's have
actually, I think we're doing a photo shoot in the spring that we're
okay,
booking a photo shoot when
but
with,
just once
yes, I
I
will
should
be
have a plate of
I will be in
tacos.
LA, and for the photo shoot, we're going to try and shoot from the taco truck.
Well, that's going to be
It was
fun.
something that we talked about the next time we get together. But so what I've been thinking as I meditate on the next 100 days, which is the topic we're going to be getting into today, is that we had an industrial revolution, right? We had an industrial revolution. And during that industrial revolution, everybody went from the farm to the city, and they went into the factories.
Yeah.
And they worked 8, 10, 12 hours a day.
Mhm.
So they didn't have time to cook from scratch.
Sure.
And so we started eating processed foods, and we became disconnected from the earth. We became disconnected from our own lives as we moved into the cities. But now we have this emergence of the new green economy, and a lot of people are working online. And so what's happening is people are like, I don't have to live in the city anymore. People are
Yeah.
now we see the migration is back to the country, back to the homesteading, back to the pantry, which begs the question, do you know how to cook from a pantry? If you know,
I don't.
I know you were going to say, I've got to grab my notes.
I'm somebody who burns water. Whimsy, I am so challenged in the kitchen. I've said this before. For some reason, I can bake. I can bake really well.
You're an amazing baker. Oh
Well,
my
you've had my
God.
carrot cake, so you can attest to that.
Yeah,
But just
the Anne Frank slice you gave me, that two nibbles. Two nibbles of paradise.
Okay.
That's what it was. Two
When
nibbles of paradise.
you come to LA, I am going to bake a carrot
I will
cake.
be there in spring because we have.
I will
we have
give you
work
the
to do.
biggest hunk of carrot cake. You can have all you want. You deserve it. But yeah, I'm guilty of this. Especially when I was working my regular job all the time, I'd come home too tired. I just wanted to eat something, so I'd put something in the microwave or something real quick, like a lot of people do.
Yeah, so basically what the remote views are saying is that we are having a back to the garden movement, and part of that back to the garden movement is going to be cooperation and co-ops, and it's really going to have an impact on how people shop. If people are cooking from scratch, rice, beans, flour, making their own stuff, first off, it's a lot less expensive. You're closer to the earth. It's healthier. It's nutrient dense. And get off so much meat, man. It's so bad for the environment.
Oh, sure.
If you look, if you're an Orthodox, like I grew up, traditional, exposed to a lot of traditional Jewish upbringing. I was religious for a really long time, and we didn't really eat a lot of meat except on the Sabbath. On Friday night Shabbat, we'd have chicken. Maybe we'd have a little chicken in like a chicken stew or something. But the rest of the week, people were vegetarian, or they would have fish or dairy. But it was this, most of the world, if you're looking at the traditional diet that people are on, it's not a lot of meat, particularly not in the Middle East, man.
No.
It's too hot. Nobody wants to be eating lamb when it's 110 degrees out.
No, of course not. But you've always preached 80% plant,
20%
meat, and it makes a lot more sense. We'd have much healthier people on a whole. And also, I was just thinking, people having foods, vegetables that are vine ripened, no pesticides, nutritionally
Right.
complete. Oh yeah, it's delicious. My father, it was more of a hobby for him, but we had a big backyard, and he had a big vegetable garden in the back. So we always had
Yeah,
in the
that's how I
summer
grew up.
corn and beans and
Back to the
tomatoes
garden.
and lettuce, and it was just heaven when it's fresh like that. There's
Yes, and
nothing
people often
compares.
people often ask me, and I'd love to have you on Broke Aristocrats, which is my frugal living
I
channel.
remember your
People want to
channel.
know, well, you're a doctor. Why are you canning vegetables? You're a doctor. Why are you doing this? Because I'm a doctor.
I was just going to say precisely.
I know how dangerous these processed foods are.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. So yes, that when I went to medical school, we had to take a cooking class.
I didn't know that. You never told me.
Bastyr University requires naturopathic doctors to learn how to cook.
Really? Now, could you tell me a little more specifically the reason?
Well, we have to be able to meal plan for our patients, depending upon what the medical condition is for our patient.
Good point.
We learned how to bake a salmon. We know how to roast a chicken if the person eats meat. We know how to toss a salad. We know how to do a gap diet if a person cannot be on, if a person, for example, has autism and they may have difficulty with their digestion, we may have to put them on something like a gap. One of the patients that you and I had, we had gone over stuff. I don't know if you remember every patient we had. We've had
not everyone, but this makes sense. So,
it's been a lot of years with him and I.
Well, I just know how fabulous you are in putting people on specific diets for their needs, and I didn't know this was part of your background.
Well, I think the thing is to get back to the earth. Well, I like to cook from scratch. You've eaten
I know you do. Oh,
I cook for him. I take him to dinner.
She is an excellent cook.
Yeah,
excellent.
I feed you. I feed you when you come to the house.
Yes, you do.
So listen, let's go ahead. Let's say hi to people. Have you gotten a copy of the new book?
Well,
we've got a brand new book for the book club. Hi, everybody. Hi, by the way.
I got it yesterday. So this is our new book. It's 1001 Nights by F.L. Cab. You can get it on Amazon. She's going to be with us February 11th at 6 p.m. On Taco Tuesdays. You, of course, will be leading that interview. Are you excited? Are you excited about this? Oh, God, this is one of my favorite things. Every month we do the author interview.
Yeah, I'm excited too. You know what I love about this book, the book that we have now, is it takes place in another country, and I love those books. I love books which take me on adventures.
Yes. I was just having this conversation with a friend the other day. We were talking about how we wish we could afford to travel more right now. And she said, well, my grandmother used to say, I've traveled the world. I read. And it's so true.
If you had been in Portland, I would have given you a free 2-week trip to Malaysia, and then you would have gone and I would have stayed home because I ended up not getting my money back. I had a horrible health thing go on. I was not able to cancel in time. But if anybody, but they said free transfer. It's like, do you know anybody that wants to go to Malaysia?
I would have gone.
No, I would have sent you for 2 weeks to Malaysia, and it was a 5-star. I got a 5-star hotel in the package. You would have been treated very well.
Oh, I'm sure it would have.
I was going to go with my friend Francis, and we both were like, I don't feel good. I don't want to do this trip. And it'll be a beautiful trip. I just wasn't feeling it. But anyway, so this is Myanmar. So I'm excited. You can get your copy on Amazon, and she'll be here on the 6th. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll turn around and say hi to everybody's here, and
let's
then
say hi.
Blitz away.
I've been seeing a lot of names pop up here. Intuitive Kathy, Stefani, Maria, let's see, Web Shiva. I'm sorry. This is where I just need to put these on. Okay. Web Shiva. So
I stopped with the contacts. I remember I had tried to contact. Yeah, give it up.
Well, I have the multifocal, but sometimes it's, I've told this, sometimes it's hard to focus.
You look cute and tell him he looks cute in glasses, ladies. Make him feel wanted.
But of course, we have our wonderful Joel Tilson and Debbie and Amy and Melanie and let's see. I'm scrolling through.
Hi, Joel.
Yeah. Let's see who else we have here. It keeps moving on me. Christy, TDR, Denise Fletcher. Oh, but Denise said bake it and ship to Whimsy. Well, the problem with the carrot cake, it has cream cheese frosting.
No.
You can't do that.
I'm going to be in LA in April. We have to redo our photos because our photos are like 2 years old or something.
Well,
We have a
We'll do
photo
new
thing there.
pictures.
It'll be
Oh,
fun. It'll be fun. It's stressful, but it's fun.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, maybe we won't have so much stress this time. We'll be better
No,
planned.
no, no. I'm going to be there in April. I'm never going to work with you in August. If we shoot in August, you're coming here. I will fly you here. I will never do that shoot. It was a nightmare. We shot in August. It was a
Yes.
nightmare. Nightmare. But taco truck in April, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, and I love this name, Never Too Late to Dream. Love
Mm.
that name. It was speaking of Jimmy Carter, he said, "You're only old when your dreams are dead."
Oh my God, what a
Uh,
great man he was.
Isa, oh, I loved him. Yeah. Christy, making sure I don't repeat names here. Merritt,
Hello,
uh,
Merritt.
Sybil, artist Liz. Oh, Joyce, my friend Joyce Petrus. Hi, Joyce. Nero, Mary, Denise. I mean, just wonderful people here. And I've said this many times. I talk to a lot of your people on the phone. My real life job. I'm your assistant, and I
He's a
can just.
physician's assistant.
But I keep hearing so much love from all of you people and beautiful words, and you're so complimentary. And I love the fact that I can look through names and go, "Oh, I've talked to you. I've talked to you. I've talked to you." And I just want you to know, when I do the show, I just feel the collective love from you now. It's great.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
love you. So let's get into it, Chuck. I think
Okay.
everybody's here. Let's just take a deep breath and let's do the dirty deed. Did you see the inauguration?
Yes. Yes, I watched the shit show. A lot of people I know said, "Oh no, I'm not going to turn my TV on. I'm not going to watch that." People saying, "I'm not going to watch the news." But I'm a lifelong lover of history. I have watched presidential inaugurations since I was a child, and so there was that part of me. Yes, I want to see this, but as I was watching it, I was already braced to be horrified, and I was. How did you feel about it, Whimsy?
Honestly, has anybody ever babysat a child that has a personality disorder, like the child?
Uh-huh. Mhm.
There are certain children that just wear you down.
Yes,
And I feel
yes.
you want to know what the column is about Trump?
What?
We're just exhausted.
Yeah. Well, that's how a gaslighter works. They just assault you and assault you and assault you and assault you. They beat you down and wear down your resistance. So
Yeah.
we know that about him. And he's all about bravado. He's all about his image. And also that speech he made, how many speeches did he end up making yesterday? Wasn't it at least 3?
Yes. 3.
Yeah, but it was the second one. It was after the Bidens had left.
Mhm.
Usually an inauguration is an opportunity for a president to unify the country, to, if anything, thank the previous administration. No, anybody who watched it knows he just trashed the Biden administration over and over and over. It was just, I guess we shouldn't be shocked by this behavior anymore, but it was disappointing to me.
So I guess he's on Ozempic because he's good for him that he's on Ozempic. You can really see the hollow cheeks. That's the one thing that people don't like about, complaints from my patients. If you are on Ozempic, but you'll sometimes you'll get that hollowed look around the cheeks. You could do what Melania has. Either she's had cheek implants or she just is naturally gifted with those gorgeous apple cheeks. But
naturally, please.
Well, she's very pretty. I mean,
she's very pretty.
I don't like her husband, but I love the outfit. I love the understated. It's a Chanel. It harkens back to those 1940s, 50s.
Yeah.
Classic My Girl Friday Chanel hat. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
And it's like the naughty, sophisticated, brainiac woman who was in those 1930s, 1940s classic
Rosalind
movies.
Russell.
Yeah, I think she looks great. I'm not out to bash.
Oh, no.
Just because she's, married to a a fascist, right?
Right,
I
right.
think she looks great. Okay, I think that is not what the issue is.
No, she's a beautiful woman. There's no
Yeah,
question
I mean,
about that.
this is but yeah, I actually was thinking, damn girl, that's the kind of outfit I like. I love that hat.
Oh, maybe you could find yourself a knockoff.
But I
I
also love
bet you a
the
lot of
fact that
people
I
will
like
have it
the
out.
fact that she looks like a stern, sophisticated librarian that's ready to
Hmm.
like smack some sense into him.
I
And it's like, if only that were true.
Yeah, I kept thinking Katharine Hepburn and the African Queen.
Yeah,
When
I
Bogey
mean, like
takes her in the boat with
I
the
love the
hat and
Chanel. I
very
love that,
straight laced.
it's I'm it's not an
Yeah.
yeah, what was with Barron? He looks like he's in physical pain. I wonder if he's
Well,
like tumor on his pineal
uh,
gland or something. Like, what's causing him to be
there
6'7"?
I heard one news story said he's as tall as 6'9".
Yeah, that's like a pineal tumor, and sometimes we can't do
Yeah.
surgery. That's also what happened to Awaken the Giant, Tony.
Yes, yes. I know who you're talking. Tony Robbins, is
Yeah,
that
he
his name?
also
Yeah.
had a pineal tumor, and
Yeah.
if it's inoperable, there's nothing you can do. The person just
Yeah.
gets tall, and it's why people will become giants. And I would be
Yeah.
suspecting that he might have a pineal tumor at this
Well, I'm
point.
also wondering because of his mother and her European heritage, because I have a Dutch friend who is 6'9", and I've been to Holland, and there are so many very tall men there that I'm wondering if there could be some ancestry there, Northern European. That's
Well,
why he's
now I
so
know
tall.
where to get a date. That sounds nice, actually.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
any other announcements? Check out our merch. We mentioned the book. If anybody would like to mail your book to me so that you can be considered for our Book of the Month Club,
Mhm.
we would love you to send us your book. You can send it to care of Dr. Whimsy Anderson, 1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 116, Portland, Oregon, 97201. And maybe you can be part of our
Mhm.
book club. I loved our last book. Did you like
I
our
did
last book?
too. I enjoyed our last book very much and had a lot of fun with Richmond.
Richmond writes the
Richmond
most.
Burton. Yeah.
Richmond Burton writes the most clever dialogue. I mean, it's just very point blank, very dry humor. It's
Oh,
almost
yeah.
like it's just like if you haven't read Rolodex yet, check out Rolodex. So that
Mhm.
was really a pleasure to have him on.
It was.
And I'm looking for 1001 Nights. Well, I think without further ado, we should maybe do some blitzes. Let's do the
I think so.
prayer.
Yes.
We've got a ton of questions. The number one issue people want to go through has to do with the executive orders and the next 100 days. So I decided to dedicate today's show to that. I know you and I had spoken beforehand. I'd sent you about. So
Yes.
you are well prepared.
Yes.
All right. So without further ado, and if you would like to be included in a prayer with us, please include your names for you and those you love so that we can include you in the MPAS prayer. Anything else? Did I leave anything out? Check out our merch.
Our merch. Well, let's see. Let me, for good measure, hold up
Oh,
my
yes.
Whimsy mug
Check
here.
out our merch.
Look at that little picture of Whimsy on there.
Where's you? Do we have a picture of you? There you are.
There we are.
Taco Tuesdays. Yeah. Special shout out to the one person who probably bought that shirt. But all right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and
Okay.
Hale, let's bring in the MPAS prayer.
Okay.
Okay. I want to call on white light protection from myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively we say Amen.
Amen.
And for those of you who are requesting healings at this time, we pray for you to receive a perfect healing both for you and those you love. healing in mind, body, and spirit. And together collectively, again, we say amen. Amen to all of you. All right. So, number one questions had to do, people wanted to talk about the first 100 days and predictions for the first 100 days for Donald Trump and the world. I guess we could do the next 100 days, which also includes the world. The first question that the most people wanted to talk about is, how did you feel about his issues regarding mass immigration and his threats of mass deportation?
My first
Like, do you feel it's going to be as bad as he says? What do you
well,
think's going to happen? And can we throw cards and talk about it?
sure.
People are really upset about that came up
Yeah.
as the number one concern, actually.
Yeah.
I was good. I took your notes.
I took my notes, yeah. No, but I mean, the first thought I had, and some others said this as well,
Good
that
soldier.
Trump is more about bravado. He's about projecting an image to his base. And a lot of these so-called promises, executive orders, frankly, he goes through executive orders like a person with diarrhea and toilet paper, with that earthquake signature on there, and he holds it up to make a big presentation. It's been pointed out, we simply do not have the financial resources. We don't have the armies, the police, whatever it's going to take to enforce such a measure to deport millions and millions of people. People are already saying that's impossible to do. So I think it's more for show, but that's just an opinion.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the cards and see what the cards say.
Okay.
And if you could like, share, subscribe, it would be awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Helps grow the channel. We're trying to get to 100K, and we're so close. We're so close. We're almost at 70K. I'm so proud of us. Yay.
That's great. Just your shuffling cards, letting things fall out. Oh. What I'm seeing just thus far. You know what I'm getting here? The first two cards I saw were a little kind of obvious: loss, restriction, these measures. But what I'm getting, I also got, decisions, grace, unconditional love, that I think a lot of common sense, a lot of compassion from the people. There are going to be people going, wait a minute, what's going on here? This is cruel. This is immoral. I'm getting that is going to be what rises to the surface, because this is such an outrage to even be attempting something like this. The idea of displacing families, putting children in cages, so I find that interesting. I got grace and unconditional love after decisions following loss and restriction, the obvious part of this. What did you get?
Good news. All right.
Yeah.
So here's what's going to happen, and then I'll show you the cards.
Okay.
There are going to be a series of raids. There are going to be a series of raids on places that employ illegal aliens. So that is the first thing we see. Is Chicago. There will be spot checks. So whatever you do, whatever your company is, the feds are going to show up and they're going to do spot checks. So you have this new beginning, and you have death of the old system. So say you're living in California, and you are employing people to pick your tomatoes or something. Expect to have the feds there randomly showing up saying, we want to get identities on everybody here. So on the surface, that sounds terrifying. Yeah. According to the remote, the initial, instead of mass deportation, what's going to happen is that there's going to be mass registration. So I'm Homeland Security, and I don't know who the hell you are, and I need to find out who you are. So I show up at this mushroom picking plant, and there's 100 people here. Who the hell are you people? How did you get here? Well, they're illegal aliens. Well, first off, I'm not even going to necessarily charge the person that hired you, but all of you people here, what's your name? What ID do you have? Do you have any ID at all? Here is a summons. You've got the next week to report and register. Yeah. And then once the individual registers, they're in the system. So once registration happens, there will be a mass release. So
Yeah.
I don't have the resources here as Homeland
Yeah.
Security to arrest you, all 100 of you, and bring you down to the station.
Yeah,
But
it's
what I can
impossible.
do is say, everyone here that works at JJ's plant, first off, JJ's getting penalized. All of you, if you want to continue to work here, you must get registered with the local government, blah, blah, blah. So the person registers. You have a file now, you're registered, the government will get to you. Okay, we
Mhm.
got to you, now you're registered. I can check to see if you're associated with any crimes. Clearly
Mhm.
you're employed. At that point, I can issue you a social security number and a temporary visa. However, if you're in the system and you refuse to show up, this was the
Mhm.
vision. How I
Yeah.
got the vision was I put myself in trance and I became the person that was caught. Like,
Yeah.
what are they going to do to me? What are they going to do to me? You
Sure.
work here? Yes, I work here. I'm going to be deported. No, you're registered. You've got to show. Here is your fine. Here's your registration. Here's your
Yeah.
number. And then what happens after that is they'll give a mass release. They now have a file on me,
Mhm.
and you'll receive temporary visa for employment. But during this time, number one, you can be deported if you fail to show up for your summons,
Yeah.
or if you commit a crime during this process.
Well, it also just seems like, again, what I was saying about Trump, it's all for show. He's very much about instilling fear, drama. And if I were one of those people, I would be terrified to
New
register.
beginning, new
You know,
beginning, an offer, Knight
well,
of Cups, the
that's good.
emissary, job.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
good.
people could lose their jobs if your husband got caught on a crime, then you do have this risk of poverty and losing everything. So
Mhm.
some people are going to be deported, but based on this profile,
Yeah.
it's not quite like that. It's not like
Well,
everyone. It's too much work, and it
yeah.
also would create too much economic hardship
Well,
on the system.
well,
But everybody has to get registered,
it's
and
like I was saying,
I
grace.
think the Democrats would agree with this. By the way,
Yeah, grace. I was getting that
yeah,
ultimately it's going to be a benign solution. And that seems to be in accordance with what you're getting there. That's encouraging.
yeah.
Because
I was
they
relieved to
can't
see that.
deport that many people.
Well,
They
they don't
can't.
want to, because if you're
Yeah.
employing 100 people that are
Oh yeah.
working, picking your tomatoes,
Oh yeah.
just register them, then they get their number, and
Sure.
then they pay their taxes, and then you give them a temporary visa, and then they can apply for permanent residency after 5 years or whatever.
Sure.
But it's all about being accountable and
Yeah.
registering. But I did a nice little, when I was doing I did an afternoon remote. When I did it, what I do, for those of you who are in my
You're
class. Oh
okay.
yeah, you too.
Yeah.
What we do when we do our meditations is I will start from being it is happening to me as an empath, because I use
Yeah.
HCRV. And then I went through the cycle. I had to report, and then you've been filed if you commit a crime. I went through the whole thing. I was like, holy hell. So it's not as bad. It's still terrifying that I had to register. Like
Sure it is.
um, and there's still, you could get kicked out of, say, your husband. If your
Sure.
father committed a crime, then you're vulnerable too.
Yeah.
So there's those kinds of vulnerabilities still
Well,
up
I'm
here,
sure there's a
but not
lot of
nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of mistrust. Like, what's really going on here? I mean, as I said, if I were in that position, I'd be very frightened to register. But at least we're both getting, it's going to be fine. It's not going to be so bad. In fact,
Mhm.
that seems to be a theme when we've been doing readings on the Trump administration, because everybody I talk to is in so much fear. And you and I both keep getting, it's not quite so horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to complete 4 years.
Oh no.
He's got, what, 78 years old. And look, they're like, what about Joe Biden? Let's have that conversation. Joe Biden is married to a woman who has a PhD in physical fitness, and she measures out his, fish portion every night.
Hmm.
And he rides his bicycle and he exercises. And,
Hmm.
he's not popping pills,
Hmm.
staying up till 4 a.m, which, by the way, is terrible for brain health.
Oh.
Sleep is so vital for
Of
brain
course it
health.
is. Of course it is. It's also been found that a lot of accidents, work-related accidents, driving accidents, is from people not getting enough sleep. They're
Yeah.
not alert. They're not thinking. Their brain isn't functioning. A lot of people with chronic depression. It's simply because they're not sleeping enough.
Yeah, I mean, so
Anxiety.
not exactly the same thing. Okay, so next issue that came up, we're doing good. We're doing good. We're doing good. Next issue that came up, people are very worried about environmental changes that could be happening. Can we give any kind of clue? He's already gotten us out of the Paris Agreement. Can we make any predictions about what he's going to do regarding the environment, or how bad is it going to be the next 100 days?
The question is specifically the next 100 days. Not
we're doing the next, if it goes beyond the next 100 days, but I just put everything based on the questions that you guys sent me.
Okay.
And
I just wanted to be clear for myself.
It goes on for a while. I don't know if we'll be able to get to everything, but we're just starting to.
We'll plow through it. Okay.
Yeah, we'll plow through it.
Okay, I'm just shuffling through these. Now I got to make sense out of my cards that I got here. I just let them fall out, and then I just say, okay, now what is this telling me here? And of course, also the first 100 days, again, could just be a lot of show on Trump's part. It may not be what's actually going on, but he's definitely going to be, he's already threatened things like drill, baby, drill. Let's rape the land. Let's get rid of those pesky windmills and clean energy. He's already said that. But it was just interesting. First card I got, community, which of course is us, the world, all of us, our planet, community. But then this is where I was looking at these cards. I got like shadow, shame, loss, restrictions, and then I got deceit. So a lot of this could just be the threats of what Trump is planning to implement. There could be deceit about it, that a lot of it is just for show. He's not going to really be able to go through with all of this, but definitely our community as a whole will be affected by this. But it's interesting also, the community shows us all united, holding hands. And I keep getting that over and over. People are going to stand up to this. They're going to say, no, you are not doing this. People are going to be holding hands in unity. I really think a lot of us are going to be called in ways we've never been called before. Anyway, that's.
I love it. You know what I love about working with you as a reader, because you and I often will. Maybe it's because we're friends, but we always vibrate around the same thing. And sometimes what comes out of your mouth is exactly the cards I pulled.
Really?
And it's just I just love working with you. Lovers reaching across the aisle is the seventh house, immediate environment.
Wow, look at that.
And so in terms of the vision, which I had started with, was I saw a vision of people going back to the garden, just as there was an industrial revolution that brought people to the cities. So will the green revolution bring people back to the country. Yeah. The green companies will move towards green and eco-friendly because of smarter ways of developing. So we no longer need the old wasteful ways of doing things, because we've come up with new ways of doing things. And so drill, baby, drill. That's like coal. What's the point when we have so many more efficient, cheaper ways of doing things?
Right.
So it's more talk. But people want lovers. Also, academia rules. High priest is standing in his opposition. Science. It's like fighting people with bayonets. And they were debating Obama. Bayonets. We don't need when we've got Hyman tanks coming in. It's like, what's the point? Dream world, or the idea of to dream. Mastery comes in. So it doesn't really matter. If nobody's buying it, if people have all moved on to electric cars, then what's the point? So climate change, very little changes in terms of policy, because people are moving towards the new green. The new hot thing on YouTube is everybody wants a homestead. So what are people buying? People are buying generators, Tesla generators, right? From Tesla, produced by, you best guessed it, Elon Musk, and these 3D houses. So the people that are in control of Trump, this is what I'm trying to say to people, are heavily invested in the new green economy.
Mm-hmm. That's
which
good.
is why it's not the same as last time, because the economy has changed and the investors have changed. And he's just the face of whoever the investors are.
Sure he is. Sure he is. I I love what Indigo Child said. Time for victory gardens. Remember? Well, obviously you don't remember, but you weren't around then. But during World War II, that was a common thing for people to plant their gardens. It was considered patriotic to do that.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like here. Okay, next question had to do with inflation. Somebody had written me a letter saying that they barely were holding. I get this a lot. They're barely holding on. I see it all day long. They can barely buy
Yeah.
groceries. That people are afraid they're going to live in their car. Can we
Yeah.
please check? They're terrified about the tariffs. Could be 25% increases in Canada, Mexico, and add another 10% for China.
Yes, I
We
was gonna say.
rely heavily on cheap goods from China. Whimsy, please tell me it's not true.
Yeah. Well, I just read in the news today that he is definitely planning that. He said that he was questioned yesterday in the Oval Office, and they said, "Well, when President Trump?" He said, "Oh, I'm thinking around." He was very vague. He said, "Oh, I'm thinking around early February, like February 1st or so. We're going to put 25% tariffs on China and Mexico." And
We're
then
barely holding on. What's he thinking?
I know it's madness because we all know the answer. We're gonna be the ones paying for it. It's gonna get outrageous. I was just looking like things we get from Mexico. I wrote down squash, blueberries, corn, shrimp, avocados. Canada, we get wheat, barley, beef, butter. Aside from electronics, we can go on and on and on. Car parts, things. What this is going to do to us, the economy, the inflation.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, let's take a look.
I mean, I'm nervous now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's just what you had me read the news.
It is what we have to cover.
Yeah, we do. So let me see what I get here.
Get it over with.
I'm sorry, folks. I don't mean to be
after depressing everyone. Let's look at the economy.
I'm sorry.
Tariffs and the new economy over the next 100 days. The economy over the next 100 days.
Whoa. I'm not. One card that popped out, discontent. I'm just showing that right now.
No.
Oh, but anyway. Oh, okay. No, this isn't bad. Let's see if there's anything else that wants to come out. I'm trying to.
Whoa.
Oh, you got something there. Oh, well, let me see here. Make sense of this. I'm trying to see if I have a card to bridge two things here. I have an outcome, I have a beginning, and I feel like there's more to the story here. So let me just do one more shuffle here, see if anything jumps out. Sorry, I don't want to hold you up. If you. Okay. No, this is good.
I go first unless you want me.
Well, here, I'll just
you can go either way. I don't care.
Well, either way. Okay. Some of these are obvious. Okay. It kind of sets the stage. Business. Again, the community card, because this affects all of us together collectively. I showed you this when this jumped out. I went, whoa, discontent. I was like, really? No. But judgment. And then ultimately there's a compromise. This is the card I felt really good about. Remember I said I wanted a bridge card?
Yeah.
I got compromise. And then these two cards, I swear this is what jumped out. I got celebration and victory. Like there's going to be a solution here. It's going to be okay ultimately. But what are you getting, Whimsy?
I remember 5-6 years ago, I was asked to do a remote view on Putin, and I saw trade routes and the fact that everything was going to be about trade and trade routes, and that ultimately all the wars had to do with embargoes and trade and competing to sell our trade. And that's in fact pretty much what we've seen with the Suez Canal they're attacking boats leaving the Suez Canal, the thing with Iran and Russia and the West, now China with the West. And so China is so angry right now. They're talking about attacking Taiwan, the fact that we're doing business with Taiwan, enjoying Taiwan's resources without any of the profits going to China. That pisses China off because that's their money, that's their profits, and we're giving it to a government that is We're not even saying Taiwan isn't China. We're saying that the government of Taiwan is separate than the government of China, even though Taiwan may belong to China. So it's a very bizarro situation we find ourselves in. And we're also propping up financially Taiwan and doing business with Taiwan.
Yeah.
This creates a lot of anger. So we have this new beginning starting around April of 2025. We have this karmic situation or an impasse. I feel like April of 2025 is when Donald Trump is going to begin to, there's going to be a situation where something is hitting. I don't know if it's physical, if it's war or what, but he is headed towards a crash. Hopes and fears the economic in the ninth house. The final outcome is war.
Whoa.
So if he wants China to retaliate with military action, this is a good way to make it happen.
Well, it's also interesting. I was reading because there are people in the Pentagon and in the government who have no idea who the Secretary of Defense is right now, who's leading the Pentagon right now, which puts us already in a very vulnerable position. Other countries are aware of this. I'm wondering if China would seize upon that and take advantage of it.
The complaints that the U.S. has with China are legitimate complaints, and that is why Biden and Nancy Pelosi went over to Taiwan. One of the accusations is that we sent our business to China and they used the money to build up a government and a military that was hostile to the United States, that was attempting to hack our government, that was spying. We had spies that were infiltrating U.S., that stealing U.S. patents, genetic information, like that what was going on when we were both looking at treating coronaviruses, etc. So they got caught spying, and then what happened with COVID, which was possibly a leak. Somebody may have stolen genetic material. I think that that's more than likely what happened. And everybody was trying to steal genetic material from everybody else because everybody was running after the ring, the vaccine. And at that point, it's possible that that's what happened with the Wuhan lab leak. But this energy that's coming in, a new beginning starts in spring, and America is victorious. But the bottom line is we have real problems with China. We have problems with not only what they were doing with the money that they were acquiring from making money from the West, but we also were having problems with how they were taking advantage, buying U.S. property, using U.S. property to grow pigs and things, which were leaving us in a pigsty, literally. All the pork that we're growing that's being exported. Like you have here, the destiny for China, which was the opposition, is Six of Pentacles. They will pay. So there is a feeling here that China was out of balance with us, that China did in fact take advantage of the U.S., and that this is why Biden had a rift with Xi, and this is why Trump's administration is having an issue with Xi, because they were spying, because they were bringing planes, because they were bringing in drones, and the drone war, the drones coming in to U.S. airspace probably were Chinese. Right, playing these games with us and possibly using holograms to screw with us and all kinds of crazy stuff. So karmically, they will pay. You have that kind of an energy coming in for China. But the hope and the fear economic future with China, that we have to get shut, whether we want to admit it or not. Both Democrats and Republicans agree we have to get tough with China, because arming and building up the economy of a country that wants to take us out is never a good idea. Armistice comes to us. Three of Cups is armistice, and armistice comes over the war. We will work it out with China. I think what Trump is doing is he's saying, I'm going to hit you with another 35%. And we will comply. We don't want to, but boy, it's the initial response with that Knight of Swords. Expect to see real tension, but in the end, talking tough seems to work for the Trump administration. It seems like eventually China is going to have to bend if they want to do business with the U.S. with those types of cards.
Yeah. I mean, Trump's a bully, but maybe that's what it's going to take to get the results.
Okay, so could we look at the price of groceries in general, the price of things in general? Do we
Mhm.
see on the second part of that question is can we take a look at inflation over the next 100 days? Yes.
I'm wondering how if it will take that quickly in 100 days, or if we're going to have this is going to be months down the road. If
Well,
these,
I think that people are just asking, do we see any any changes in the market when it comes to inflation in the next 100 days?
yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, how much time does it take for like fruits and vegetables come up from Mexico and things from Canada where we're going to see this? Because prices will definitely go up if he's going to impose tariffs like that, it seems. But anyway, I know let's do the cards. I'm sorry.
Unless they work it out, because we had the lovers, we have this energy well, we
Yeah.
have Page of Wands, which is a new beginning. I felt like the tension was coming with threats of war from China, but he may pull back. He better not do tariffs on Mexico. God, that would make food really expensive.
Oh, yes. Well, from Canada also, I was reading off that list of just some of the things we get in the grocery store every single day that come, well, especially like here in
Food,
Southern
a lot of
California,
food.
thanks from Mexico, lots of our fruits and vegetables. Yeah, I guess things like that, we would see it fairly quickly.
Yes, Russia has oil, and the Turkish stream was one of the main trade routes that Putin wanted to get out. Turkish stream, he had a deal with Turkey, which is one of the reasons why he helped Erdogan get elected. And Turkish stream was about moving oil through Turkish area and then into Russia, and from Russia into Eastern Europe, parts of Western Europe. And there have been acts of sabotage, and the US does not want him to get his trade out, doesn't want him to get his oil out, which has created, and there's also oil in Ukraine, oil and grain, and um, the old trade routes, right? The old, like Odessa, which was built by Catherine the Great. So it goes back to the same feeling. She and Putin both want their trade routes back that they feel were taken by the West, whether it was taken by Taiwan or an independent Ukraine.
Yeah. Just looking at these cards, trying to.
All right, we'll do a quick one on
I'm trying to get an answer here. Okay, so the question is specifically
just inflation over the next 3 months. What do we see? Oh, wow.
What?
Oh, they're
There's,
saying that the courts are going to come in to stop Trump. He's not going to
oh,
be able to engage in these trade wars because
my,
he's going to be stopped by the courts. He doesn't have, the courts will intervene and prevent
well,
Trump from doing certain things. You
well,
have a new beginning.
well,
Yeah, you got the same thing.
look at
Uh,
that. One of my cards.
yeah,
Judgment. Judgment.
yeah.
Judgment. Oh yeah, because I mean sometimes it's obvious, but I got like discontent,
Yeah, there will
business,
be court orders to
competition.
stop him because both
Yeah,
Democrats and Republicans don't want it.
yeah, because sometimes you'll see me. I get these cards and I'm like, okay, now what is this telling me here? And I saw that judgment, and you got it too. Excellent, excellent.
Okay, the next. Right.
Okay.
Next question. People had said that they're trying to sell their houses, and certain areas they haven't been able to sell their houses. Do we see any changes in the housing market in the next few months?
Seems like that's going to be regional specific.
I mean, you guys have a housing shortage now in Los Angeles.
Oh my goodness!
Oh
It's
my
horrible
God! How
right
many
now.
houses were lost? How many houses were lost?
I heard this may not be accurate, but I heard something like close to 5,000 or
Oh my
5,000 people.
God! 5,000 people lost their homes.
Here in the Southern California, and that includes like the big celebrities lost their mansions. I mean, regular people. But I read that the rents are expected to skyrocket here because there's now such a shortage for rental apartments. And there are people who still have to pay mortgages on houses that burned to the ground. They don't even have anymore. I don't know. I'm hoping there's going to be some kind of help there. But that's why I said it's kind of a regional specific question. Like Southern California might be very different from, say, Ohio or something. That's why I was wondering, should we make the question a little more specific or just how should we
I
phrase
think just U.S. housing market. Let's just take a look at the U.S. housing market overall.
Okay, U.S. housing market. Let me see what comes up. Uh, getting a mixed bag here. I'm trying to find something here that gives me a conclusive answer.
Take your time, darling.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think the housing prices are so high right now in the United States. Most normal people cannot even afford to buy a house unless you're talking about a manufactured home.
Mm-hmm. Or one of those little teeny tiny houses, that size of a tool shed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're selling. They're actually, it's pathetic. They're actually selling those things.
I know
they're selling tool sheds. Do you want to live in a tool shed? No,
not really.
I don't want to live in a tool shed.
I'd have to stand up in it. I wouldn't even be able to sit down. I mean, I'm not getting anything conclusive here. I don't know why. Maybe because I've got it in my head. It's about regions. It's too vague for me. But so I apologize. This is not one of the better card readings here. But the first one, of course, again, it's interesting how this community card keeps coming up. We're all in this together, and that's obvious. But it keeps jumping out almost every time I ask this question. But I'm getting suffering.
Oh my God.
Priorities. But I'm also getting, see, this is where it's not, I said it's a mixed bag. I got suffering, but I also get new life, new ways, invention. When I get the intuition card, I always take that to mean ingenuity, ideas, new ways of thinking. Let's come up with solutions, new life. So I get it's a mixed bag. There are definitely people suffering, like, for example, here in Southern California, a lot of people suffering. In fact, yesterday, you should have seen Kamala Harris. First thing she did, she got off the plane. She went to a place where she could start distributing food to people because in her neighborhood and so forth. But
seriously, anyway, after she
got off the plane, she has a home in Brentwood here in Los Angeles, and it was on the news. She insisted on going straight to a center where she could talk to people who'd lost their homes, and she was there putting food on plates for people. That's what she was doing, like 6 or 7 o'clock last night.
Maybe she's the future governor of California.
There's talk that she may do it. But
I think that's a great idea.
But anyway, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting a mixed bag here. Yes, there's suffering, but yes, there's also ingenuity and new possibilities, community. But anyway, I bet you have a much better.
I got the same thing. No, exactly the same thing. Yeah. A star is coming. So good stars over the future housing market. There's the housing market. 3 of Pentacles would be to build or real estate. So we have good stars over the future, and ingenuity. Science is the high priestess. Really? Yeah, and then the final outcome is justice will come to the people who lost their homes in California. Other thing also about justice would indicate that there's possibly some lawsuits that are coming in if somebody's going to lose their home or didn't have these 3D houses that they're creating. But I mean, the truth is we don't make houses the way we used to.
No,
because we no longer build like that anymore.
I bet you know this already. You used to be able to order a house out of the Sears catalog, like around the turn of the century. It was a kit, a prefab kit, and you could order it from the Sears catalog. And a lot of those old houses, like Craftsmanship houses, are still standing to this day. They were good, sturdy, well-built homes.
Those were the widow houses. Yes, the little tiny Crackleboro house. I love those houses. I want one of those houses.
Yeah.
But now they're going for $300,000-$500,000.
out here,
a cute little house and on Green Lake that I grew up in. We sold it for $40,000. We had one of those houses, 2 bedrooms. We sold it for $40,000, and then we bought a 3-4 bedroom for $80,000, which is now worth $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how much of a change from, say, the 1970s.
Yeah, because you lived here in LA, this is no exaggeration. A little house like that could easily go for $1 million here.
Yeah.
People around the country think that's crazy, but that LA prices, and you've talked a lot about this fire. This fire was about a lot of things, about equalizing things, and a lot of things that just were not going to be supported anymore by the universe. But that's another show and another
Well, I
topic.
wanted to say that we're closing the show now, and I just wanted to say that when I go into meditation and we look at DOGE, which is dodgy, right? Department of Government Efficiency, not everything is this horrible nightmare like weep into the pillows, weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah.
Some of this streamlining the government is a wonderful thing because we have spent billions of dollars on things which are no longer necessary. And it's going to be great. It's great that the Defense Department, for example, can slash its nuclear weapons program, which it will. I believe in the next few years, we will see America choose to dismantle its nuclear weapons. They're extremely expensive to maintain, and we just don't fight war like that.
And
it's much cheaper for us to invest in much less expensive for us to develop drone security systems and shields in the event that somebody attacks us than to be focusing on something as expensive and dangerous as maintaining nuclear weapons. So I have a prediction that part of streamlining and saving money is that it's no longer necessary or feasible for us to even have nuclear weapons. And I think we're going to disarm.
It's beautiful.
We're going to dismantle them. And I think that hopefully that'll be a call to the rest of the world. Department of Greedy Economics. But I'm glad look, nothing in life is all bad or all good. But I do think that is something we could see in our lifetimes, is that they will be scrapping those old systems. Who wants to have a bunch of old, broken down nuclear missiles sitting around that don't do anything but put the entire world at risk?
Oh my goodness, I'm thinking of all those stories like in the former Soviet Union, all of these missiles that have been lost. They don't even know where they're buried anymore. But they're sitting in these silos underground and they could go off at any time.
Yeah, so I think just for, it's a lot cheaper to produce drone systems to secure and to shoot. If something we can intercept through Star Wars, we can intercept something in space. And so it just doesn't, it's no longer feasible. And it's just, there's a lot of reasons why when I go into the future, I'm very optimistic, and I believe that's where we're headed. So it's not all bad.
I love to hear optimism.
I have faith in America. I don't think one bad president is, I'm not seeing it. The cards still, look, if we had gotten a tower today, with 10 of wands, these are dark cards, but we didn't. If we didn't, we would tell you. We're honest people.
Something I remember, this is when you and I used to work together in the health industry here in LA. And you were telling me you talked to some of your guides about Donald Trump. And I remember you said this. They said to you, all he is just a bad president. You will survive this. Do you remember that? You remember saying that to me?
Yeah, and so far it's turned out to be true. I mean, the worst thing that's happened is that he's pushed us to get off our ass and make the ERA happen.
Yeah, no, I kept getting in my cards.
The problem with having a president like Obama is we got lazy and we felt like we didn't have to show up at the meetings and go to the city. We didn't have to go to those city hall meetings, those city planning. Because Daddy was taking care of everything. And I think that what this bad president did is he forced us to be civically, we were forced to be engaged in ways we hadn't.
Well, it was Eleanor Roosevelt who said sometimes we need a spur in our sides to instigate us into action. Trump is like a big spur. That's why I kept getting these readings. You did too, where people are going to rise up. They're going to unify. The cards like where they're holding hands in unity. We have to stand up. So that I see that as positive.
The last question people want, thank you for reminding me, was if we could check out Medicare, SNAP, and Social Security over the next year. Yeah. And then we'll be done. We'll be finished for the week.
Oh.
I know you don't want to leave.
I got a good card
here. He loves you guys.
I love it. No, but I was going, because I just had a card jump out. Answered. Well, I felt intuitively it's going to be like a lot of other things where Trump has just been drama and fear. It's not really going to happen. Our Social Security, our Medicare, I feel it's okay. But look what I got. The dove, peace, rest. It's
Oh, Holy
okay.
Spirit, that's very good.
Yeah, I got that. We're okay. We're gonna be scared. We're gonna get a lot of drama, fear, but I think ultimately it's gonna work out. What are you getting?
Do not fret, do not worry, all is well. My
Yeah,
last Ace of Pentacles, we're getting a
rest
raise.
assured.
Yeah. By the way, Two of Swords, you've got to tune out. It honestly, message from Spirit is your stress about the future is a greater health risk to you than what's actually coming.
That's an excellent point, Whimsy.
We don't have to have the whole world fall apart. We can put up, there's so many
Yeah,
things we can do now. They've got CO2 ways of pulling in CO2. We now have the technology. We have the
yeah,
technology to put up shields.
yeah.
It's not this, it's got this
Don't buy
dog.
into the drama. Maybe people are right about not watching the
How much
news.
plastic
Yeah.
was pulled out of the ocean this year? Do you know how much plastic? Did you
How
hear about this
much?
Oh my God.
How much? I've seen those pictures of like
Several hundred
islands.
tons?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen pictures of like literal islands of
Mhm.
plastic melted together in the
Yeah,
middle of
we're
the ocean.
saving ourselves, and I really believe we're going to disarm. But look at this,
Yeah.
Two of Swords, tune out the negative. Look at this, work on your mastery, hopes and
Whoa.
your hope and fear that all is lost. And the final outcome, Ace of Pentacles, great wealth comes to the nation.
Yeah.
Don't believe the hype.
Hey, why am I suddenly thinking happy days are here again?
Yeah,
It's like
I
it might
think,
be okay.
it's going to be
Yeah.
fine. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just don't. This is not the same as last time, which is, I think, is the other
Yeah.
reason why people aren't so stressed out, because they have a lot of Democrats and a lot of people on the other side of the aisle that are coming in. It's not going to
Mhm.
be that bad. And also, I don't see him in office more than a year.
Yeah, you've said that on several of your
Yeah.
shows. Yeah. In fact, you had mentioned that on another show about April. You were
Yeah, I
getting
mean,
it.
like, if I were concerned, I would be focusing more on legislation, winning. I'm a Democrat, full
Yeah.
disclosure here, people. But I would be focusing on how can we win in 2028.
Yeah.
How can we get people optimistic about the future? 2026, the midterms also. Those are the things.
Yes.
Rather than being freaked out about this particular president, who's just one person and probably isn't going to be staying anyway. I'm more concerned with J.D. Vance and
Yeah.
the agenda of certain people than I am about. I don't think we should be wrapped up in Donald Trump. I think that's a real waste of our time.
No. He's a bit of this is his last hurrah. Like yesterday, throwing the pens out to the audience and
Oh, he threw pens out.
Oh yes, he was. It was at some stadium in Washington D.C. He had a desk with all of his executive orders, or not all of
Well,
them,
it's
but
like
enough. He
rolling
was
back
signing
things
them,
isn't going to help because
throwing the pens.
people don't drive cars like that anymore. So
Yeah,
like,
remember he was
we
throwing paper
don't live our
towels.
lives. Yeah, we don't live our lives that way anymore.
Yeah,
People buy hybrids. People are not. It's not the 1950s anymore, and we're not
no.
consuming like we did in the 1950s.
But it's interesting because I sat through that and watched it on TV, and I kept thinking, this is like this is his last hurrah.
I think it will be a golden age.
Yeah.
I think it will be a golden age. I think it is a great time for technology and innovation. And I think that's absolutely true, not because of Donald Trump, but because of where humanity is headed. And I think I'm really excited about the future of humanity. And I think it's much bigger than Donald Trump. I just don't believe that this guy, I just don't believe it. The cards are just too optimistic.
Yeah. Well, I love that we have a genuine message of hope for people and optimism.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
And I believe we will get to peace in the Middle East. And I am sorry that Iran has to fall and Russia has to fall. I certainly wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want to have NATO marching on Moscow. Who the heck wants that? But I stand by the 5 phases, and I think that I don't really think that there's a way we'll be able to get out of it. I think given where we're headed, given how things are falling into place, and I get asked this a lot, could there have been a way that we could have prevented this is another thing that I always like as a remote viewer, because sometimes we don't see the future. We see what
No.
people are preparing or what people are creating.
Mhm.
And so I always wanted to know, or you could say since December 20th, 2023, when we talked about the natural ways in which these dominoes would fall, and we're seeing steps one, ceasefire, and then Biden had laid out the first 3 steps, and the rebuild being step 3. But we're seeing, following up right behind that, the collapse of Putin's regime.
Yeah.
And then Iran follows soon after that.
Yeah. It's like that saying, what falls away, what needs to fall away will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
I did. I enjoyed doing the show today. I
Yeah.
even love, we went over a few minutes. This is fine.
Oh, yeah. I
It's
actually
cool.
was going to text you and say, be prepared to stay an extra 15 minutes.
It's okay. I love it.
Do you have any announcements?
Oh, well, not real. Well, let's see. Of course, I do my own show, Chuck's Captivating Chat, on my channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles, Mondays, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's we talk more about me talk about show business stories, I Love Lucy, anecdotes, things like that, and just whatever else comes up. And we just have some fun. So that's my thing. And I'm working on some art projects, some consignments right now. And I think I told you, I'm not going to give details, but I'm working on my own Oracle card set. And I'm also
You were
designing.
telling me something about that.
And I'm also 5 cards into, I'm designing my own tarot deck, but that's going to take a long time to do.
Oh, wow. You know
so
what? You could do a tarot deck. I think the Oracle cards, it would be kind of neat because you could do the Oracle cards with different famous people.
Well, yeah.
Like one of the oracles could be Lucille Ball, and it could be their personality.
Yeah.
What did they channel? I think it'd be cool to do an
sure.
oracle that had the oracle based on a celebrity. God, that would be so much fun.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm having fun. I'm not going to reveal what it is I'm working on just yet, but the Oracle cards are things I can turn out quicker. Like, I think a 3-month goal is realistic for that. A tarot deck may take a year or 2 to do. That's much more ambitious, but I've always wanted to do it. And I made a decision on January 1st. And I've done my first 5 cards, and I'll share them with you once I have them completed.
Somebody had asked about the Gaza rebuild. This is the Gaza rebuild as I envisioned it. And I'm sure professional people will come in and make it right. But people had said, will it be good for Palestinians? Well, if they don't have to join this rebuild, that's the thing, that people of Gaza don't have to apply to live in the oasis. The oasis is an opportunity for employment if people want to apply. It's a kibbutz.
Yeah.
It's as beautiful, you own the kibbutz. It's co-owned. So it's their own kibbutz.
Yeah.
Is it nice? It's a kibbutz that's co-owned by Gazans and Israelis in a safe zone. But some of us love kibbutz, some of us don't. Some people are going to love living in oasis, and some people are going to be like, I can't live on kibbutz, and they'll just live in Gaza. So, but this is one of the projects that I'm hoping will happen in Gaza. And so I think I personally, well, it depends on how much you like community living. I think it would be heaven on earth to live like that. But yes, it is beautiful. Theirs. It is oasis. When you are a Gazan, you can be proud of the fact that your country has a beautiful oasis. And so let the world come together, and let's get rid of the crazy terrorists, and let's help the people of Gaza build a beautiful oasis, and so they can live happily ever after as friends of Israel, not as enemies. So that is the vision of Gaza.
I like that vision. It feels good.
Yeah, it feels real good, and it's going to happen. Yeah. So as for you, if I need to have a tarot reading with you, or if I need to contact you, how do I contact you?
Well, you can see my name hopefully on the bottom of the screen there. It's just reverse Dransfield Chuck, one word, at gmail.com. Love to hear from you.
Yeah.
It's always my honor to read for someone. And I'm doing a spirit portrait for someone right now. I'm doing I don't want to, I want to keep her privacy, but I'm doing a loved one. And as I'm working, I'm just seeing what kind of messages I get from him for her, and
Yeah.
that's always my
Chuck
honor.
is a medium. He's a trance medium, and he's an artist, and he can
Thank
also
you.
paint loved ones for you who have passed over and channel messages. So that's another thing that he
Thank
does.
you.
All right, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much. If you're trying to
Thank
get
you.
in for a reading with me, you can find all that information below. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless.
Thank
Peace
you.
out, and we will see you next time. Bye,
See you next week.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you so much, everyone, for your
Thank
support.
you.
Much
Really
appreciated.
appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.